I want to talk to you about the rules that we have around the journey of life. There are clues that we see along the way, and they're supposed to tell us whether to stop and change direction or whether to keep going. Sometimes these rules keep us from getting to the next step, that it brings us closer to your best life. Let's talk about 4 of them. Number 1 is when there's a struggle. So you might be in a relationship that is giving you a lot of trouble and you're not sure how to fix it and it feels really hard. Or you might be an entrepreneur or someone who's doing something on their own. There's a struggle, an innate struggle in the process. And the rules would tell you if there's a struggle, there's a long enough struggle, that maybe that's a sign that you should change direction. Now, I'm not saying that that's not the case. It may be that there's an easier way. But before you decide you're going to change directions, there's some things to consider. First of all, the struggle may have a purpose. It may build strength. It may be something that refines you and gets you ready for the next step. So think about a seed. You plant it in the ground. And science says that the process of the seed sprouting underground and then pushing through until it reaches above ground, that has a purpose, that is necessary in order for it to become everything that it's meant to be. So perhaps you have a struggle in your life that is turning you into something that will be what you need, the skills that you need or the strength that you need in another step that brings you closer to your purpose. Another rule is that if everyone else isn't doing it, maybe they know something and we should trust conventional wisdom. We should, again, I'm not saying that there's not wisdom in that, because there are things that people do and over time it's proven to work. But there are also moments when you have to walk your own path. You were given this genetic singularity, that there's no one else in the world that is like you. And so similarly, there is also a path to your greatest life that is singular. It's lonely. You have to walk that path. You have to have that relationship with yourself, that conversation with yourself where you say, is this right for me? It may not be right for everyone else. So maybe you have to pursue that career. That's the thing that you're supposed to do. And no, nobody else is going to do it. I think of myself at speaking. There wasn't anyone around me that wanted to be a speaker. But it was something I couldn't ignore inside of myself. And whether or not everyone was doing it around me was not the point. Just because you don't know other people who are doing what you want to do doesn't mean that they're not out there. It was good that I didn't look around at just the people in my close circle and use them as permission to go to the next step. The third rule is that if you fail, that maybe that's not for you. It is sometimes one of those things where you say, okay, I need to regroup. Maybe this isn't the right moment for me. But I think as a coach that failure is kind of like struggle. It's something that tells you things. Do you still want it after you failed? Because that's a sign that you might need to keep going. Did you learn something during the failure? Because that's a sign that if you have that lesson, is it possible that you could succeed? Or is it just something that needs to be tweaked? Maybe you're failing because there's some more information that you need, but it doesn't mean that you have to completely change directions. And finally, when someone disagrees with you, sometimes we think, gosh, maybe if people are disagreeing with me, maybe I'm not on the right track. And it can be very unsettling when you know that you have a point, but it feels like people don't get it. Now listen, you have this amazing viewpoint. You have something that brings value to your community. Don't give up just because people are disagreeing with you. Instead, I encourage you to listen to people who think differently than you. Think about the points that other people are making and how you can incorporate them into what you think and make your viewpoint stronger. So just remember, the rules aren't always right. Just because it's hard, just because no one else is doing it, just because people disagree with you, just because you failed in the past, that doesn't mean that you should change direction. That doesn't mean that you should stop what you're doing. Just for a second, look within and ask yourself, do I really want this? And am I willing to do the work? I promise that if you follow that path, that you'll come out with something that's better than you can imagine, and you will find the joy that comes with pursuing your purpose.